All right, so listen up. I've got something powerful coming up, and I need you to be in the room for this. I'm hosting a free live webinar called From Pain to Purpose: How to Heal What's Hidden so you can finally feel fulfilled. And if you've ever felt like success was silencing your soul, this is your wake-up call. In this live session, we're going to unpack why high achievers struggle with feeling stuck, how unhealed emotional wounds affect your relationships and identity, and how to finally reconnect with the strongest and truest version of you. This is not just another motivational moment. This is your turning point. So don't wait. Walk. I need you to run. Spots are going to be limited, and we're only doing this live. So make sure that you click the show notes in this episode and get registered, and I'll see you there on purpose. Hey family, welcome back to another episode of Unmute Your Mic podcast, where we say the things high achievers feel but rarely admit out loud. Today's episode is one of the realest we'll ever have. Its title is called When Winning Feels Like Losing. So let me start here. You got what you prayed for. You worked your tail off. You beat the odds. They clapped. They cheered. They called you unstoppable. But inside you feel empty, worn, disconnected, and you can't tell anyone because you're not even supposed to feel this way. You're supposed to be grateful. But what happens when the thing that once validated you no longer fulfills you? But what happens when the thing that once validated you no longer fulfills you? Let's talk about it. So here's what you can expect from this episode today and how it's going to help you. So here's what this episode is going to help you do. If you feel emotionally disconnected from your own success, if you're constantly chasing milestones but feel less and less like yourself with every win, if it feels like you're carrying the weight of everything you asked for with no one to help hold it, then this episode will help you. We're going to name the grief that comes with success, that hidden grief, the one no one talks about, what we always hide behind. We're going to understand why accomplishment can feel like a loss. And then I'm going to leave you with 3 grounded strategies to bring your emotional self back into alignment with your outer success. So by the end of this episode, you're going to be able to walk away with clarity, tools, and language to reclaim your peace without sabotaging your progress. So I'm excited to get into today's topic. So let's start at the top. The grief that nobody talks about. I want you to do something that is super powerful. It's one of the first things I did in my book, Purposeful Pain, Give Me Your Isaac, was I had to name the pain. I want you to name your grief. So let's name it together. Let's call it that. It's grief. Sometimes we think, well, I'm not grieving. I'm fine. I'm not crying. I don't know why we always think grieving is crying, but grieving is not always crying. And we will discount and we'll dismiss all that it's taken to get us to this point. But let's just be honest. Growth comes with grief because you have to be willing to leave something behind. Success costs something. Whether it is time with your children, times with your spouse, time with your family, time with yourself, success costs something. It's not just the hard work or the long nights. It's the parts of yourself that you silenced to succeed. The version of you who felt safe in being soft. The friendships you didn't have time to nurture. You was just passing by them? Or the creativity you sacrificed for productivity? Nobody tells you that with every level up, there is loss. There's loss of innocence, loss of identity, loss of freedom, loss of normalcy. And we don't grieve those things. We just keep grinding. We smile in pictures and we suffer in silence. This is the life, the hidden life of the high achiever. But today, we are going to name it so we can heal it. Because you cannot heal an illness you can't name. So that is why naming that pain is so important. Being able to just call it what it is so important, because the longer you stand behind the mask, the longer you stay covered up in shame, guilt, blame, shame. And so when we think about why does winning feel like losing, we got to look at, how do you define success? Because your definition of success has evolved, but you haven't caught up to it emotionally. So you're still chasing it. And one of the things that I was reading, and it may have been when I read Atomic Habits, but I was reading this research, and it said that people who make over $75,000 or more a year, they care more about the purpose and the fulfillment than they do the money. The reason that is because you're no longer surviving. When you are in your thriving season financially, where you're not pinching pennies, eating beans, all the things, getting noodles because you can't afford anything else, right? It's not a choice. It's the only option you have. When you're no longer living like that, it gives you creative freedom to stop and think. And most importantly, to feel. And most people, when they stop and think and feel, they realize that they're serving something that they don't even understand why. Because originally they wanted the checks, the 6 figures, the 7 figures. They wanted all these things because originally they wanted to make sure that families were financially stable. But now your family is financially stable, but you're not mentally stable. And this is why success still feels like you're losing, because you lost your meaning. And so you thought more visibility would bring more connections, but now you feel lonelier than ever. You won the award, but you lost your why. The truth is, you don't want to give it all up. No one wants to go back to the bottom to cross to the top, darling. But you don't want to keep living like this either. And you want success and fulfillment. You want impact and intimacy. And that is possible, but only if we stop pretending that we're okay. And that's one of the hardest things for us to do, because quite honestly, we've pretended and we've been this character for so long, we don't know how to stop being that character. And so we battle with who we should be, who we are becoming, and who we had to leave. And this is the part that people don't really talk about on this journey of success and this journey of looking like you're living your best life, when quite honestly, you're not. So I want to give you 3 questions to make you think. These are going to be some thought-provoking things. But this is also going to help you to reclaim your alignment. Okay? So listen in, lean in, because you're going to want to really take notes here and really sit in your heart on this one. So here's the first question I want you to ask yourself. And if you're somewhere where you can write, jot your answers down. What did I lose on the way to this win? What did I lose on the way to this win? I want you to write it down. I want you to acknowledge it without judgment, because here we don't judge, we listen. Okay. And I want you to give yourself permission to grieve it. I want you to give yourself permission to feel that. Question 2. What do I need to feel proud and not just praised? This question is such a big question because praise is so external, but pride is internal. And we know our good book of Proverbs says that pride comes before the fall. So what is that saying? They're saying that internally you fall inwardly before you fall outwardly because it comes before the fall. But we just said that pride is an internal job. People don't see your pride like an outfit. They experience it in your actions. That's how they know you're prideful. It's in the experience of your actions, not in the outfit that you're wearing. So you really need to own what is it that you need so that you can feel proud of you. Because praise clearly has not fulfilled you. Because here we are with all the praise in the world and all the accolades to prove that we were praised. And yet again, we still don't feel proud of ourselves. And then question 3. What does peace look like for me now? Not what it looked like 5 years ago. Not what social media says it should be. But today, in this season, what does peace require from you that you're not giving it? And I'm going to throw you in. I know you're writing these things down and you're like, ooh, Jesus, today's podcast is heavy. But I want to give you one more bonus question. What is achievement helping you get over? What trauma is achievement covering up? Maybe a better way to ask you. What trauma is achieving covering up? Because we say we're high achievers, but some of us are overachievers, and we use achievement to cover up the trauma we don't want to face. So what is that? The reason that question is such a powerful bonus is because once you realize what it is that you're really running from, or what's really rooted in you, either one, now you can make better decisions on how to uproot it. Now you can make better decisions on how to address it. Now you can make better decisions on how to have a conversation about it with whoever you need to have your conversation with. Because nothing connects us like conversation. That's why communication is so important. Most of us learned how to talk, and over half of us still don't know how to communicate. Talking is commanding. Communication is connection. And that's not in my notes for today, but that's clearly for somebody. So I hope you grabbed it and really started to think about that. How are you communicating it? Because that matters. And if you've been feeling like, which I'm sure you have, that you want to be able to win, but you also don't want to lose yourself. You don't want to lose your authenticity. You don't want to lose who you fought so hard to become. How can you have it all? I'm going to give you 3 practices. I know you're like, she's giving us homework today. I'm in my coaching bag, darling. I am in my coaching bag today. This is how sessions hit with me. So I'm going to give you 3 practices that I want you to start. And I want you to start them this week. And yes, I want to hear about them because a great coach keeps you accountable. Okay. So first thing I want you to do is I want you to check in with yourself, a weekly check-in. I would recommend doing it on a Friday because you've lived through the week. And every Friday, I want you to ask yourself, did I make space for peace this week? Did I make space for peace this week? And then schedule a 10-minute check-in with yourself. Treat it like it's your most important meeting. So that means it should be on your calendar and it should be in red. So everyone knows that it's critical. Don't call you. Call Jesus. Okay? And I want you to take that time in your 10-minute check-in with yourself. I want you to ask yourself that question and then grab your journal. And I want you to journal a review of yourself, a reflection of yourself every Friday. Okay? Now, for my high achievers who, they want to do everything quick, fast, and in a hurry, don't worry, I got you. So Each night, I want you to write down one thing you're grateful for and one thing you miss or you're mourning. Meaning like MOURN, crying about, sad about, missing. This healing happens when we honor both. So I want you each night to write down one thing that you're grateful for and then one thing that you still miss or you feel like you're mourning. And the reason I use the word mourning is because this journal is a grief and gratitude journal, because quite honestly, two things can both be true. Two things can both exist. They've been existing in you all this time. Yes, you have been successful, but you still have been unfulfilled. Yes, you are grateful, but you still feel like you're lacking. Yes, you have won the race, but you still feel like you've lost yourself. So two things can happen in one thing because it's happening in you every single day. And you've been covering it up with achievement until the podcast. Until you found me, until someone sent you this and was like, child, I think you should listen to this. So I want you to hold space for yourself with that. And then the last one. This week, I want you to pick one thing that brings you joy and do it with no outcome attached. So this is not for you to post on Instagram. This is not for strategy for my business entrepreneurs that listen to this podcast. This is just for you. This is not a flex. This is for you. I want you to pick one thing that brings you joy, and I want you to do it with no outcome attached. No one to go share it to, and do something that excites you. One of the things that I did that has brought me joy is implemented diversity in my workouts. So I got to play tennis with one of my best friends, Kayla. Shout out to Kayla Brosette. She and I and several girlfriends, we got together for her birthday and we played tennis. And it was so much fun. I hadn't played since I was a little girl. And I take it back. I did play maybe 3 years ago with one of my girlfriends, but nothing, hugely competitive. And it was just great to just be out on the court again. It was great to just be in the presence of being and just enjoying myself and putting me in a space where I feel my wealthiest, right? On the tennis court, on the golf court, where the big deals are made, and just immersing myself in an experience that made me feel like I was nourishing the little Lauren in me. And so I want you to do something like that for yourself. Go rollerblading. Do something with your kids, like whatever that is. Go swimming and not care if it's your time to get your hair wet or not, okay? You know how women are. We don't want to wet our hair, some of us. But give yourself permission to be free and lose control. Because losing control will let go of the fear that you've been secretly hiding behind. So I hope that this helps. I definitely gave you homework and I definitely want to hear about it. So listen, make sure that you are not just following this podcast, but you're following me on social. Definitely hit my DMs. They are open at I am Lauren G. Jackson on Instagram and Coach Lauren J on Facebook, TikTok, wherever you get your social media on, social channels on, I am there. And I definitely want to hear how you're doing. And I definitely want to hear how your week was, because you do not have to lose yourself to win. And I want to make sure you know that as I close out this episode, that you do not have to lose yourself to win. You don't have to choose between peace and performance. You are allowed to evolve. You're allowed to pivot, and you are allowed to express yourself. And you're allowed to change your definition of success. And you're allowed to say that this version of winning doesn't feel like me anymore. I know for me, coming from corporate America, working in a banking industry that, is predominantly white male driven, and to have as much success as I had, that to me felt like winning then. But the truth was I was unfulfilled and I was unhappy. I just used work to cover up the trauma I didn't want to deal with. But now, operating in my purpose, coaching, podcasting, speaking, being an author, being a mom, I am finding myself enjoying the space of slowness. So to me, success looks like not having to start work until 10 a.m. Success to me looks like I can go to something that my kids have going on at school whenever I need to or desire to. Success, like for me, looks like being able to go on vacation on a Wednesday because I want to. Success for me is freedom, not bondage. And so you've got to find yours too. And so if nobody else told you today, you're not crazy. These feelings that you've been feeling, they're not crazy. You're just coming home to yourself. You're just meeting you, reintroducing yourself to you. And that happens once we make a decision to change. That's a part of transformation. So I'm excited about what this week is going to look like for you. I'm excited about the flooding emails, DMs that I'm going to be getting from you. I'm excited about the reviews that you'll leave on this podcast. I'm excited about the times that you share this podcast with another high achiever that needs to hear that they are enough just the way they are. So I'm excited about this, and you should be too. So I'll see you next week, right here, same time, same place, Unmute Your Mic podcast. Be well on purpose.